Hi, everyone. You are welcome to the My Take Show. What an interesting morning it has been. It's always fun sometimes the great things we can do with technology and the interesting, play ups that technology gives us. But we're really glad to be here. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's My Take Show. It is a really exciting show, and that's why we are ready to go. My name is Adenike. I'm here with my girlfriends, and as usual, I'll let everyone just say a quick hello to you. Let me start with you, Tosin.
Hi, my name is Tosin from Maryland, and it's awesome to have you guys here.
Hi, this is Lola calling in from Georgia. Glad to be here.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jumoke. I'm joining you from Maryland.
Excellent. So nice to see you guys. And I am excited because I have one of my girls here as one of our guests. She is one of our loved sisters within the My Take Ladies Forum. Her name is Yemisi Odusoya. Yemisi is a certified life coach whose goal is to encourage others to prioritize their whole health. That is their physical, spiritual, emotional, and mental health while helping them discover who they are and guiding them to where they want to be. MC is a life coach and a pretty good one at that. She's married to who she calls her amazing, multi-talented, tailor-made husband, the amazing Wale Odusoya, and they've been married for 12 years with two lovely twin boys. Yemisi, it's a pleasure to have you on the My Take Show.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon. I am super duper excited to be here today. I'm a fan of the show. I watch every episode, and to be a part of this conversation with my sisters is an honor. I can't wait till we get into the nitty gritty of our conversation today. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And today's show is a very important one. The topic is help. I am going through a career and financial crisis. Now, if you've been following us in this season has been my help series, and we've really been addressing different things. These are based out of conversations that we've had with other ladies, had with other girlfriends, conversations we know are trending on social media, key issues. Why do we have this discussion? It's because My Take is a forum where we ladies hang out, unwind, chat about the happenings around us while lending our voices to some of the social issues in the world today. Our goal is really to promote a culture of love and compassion as well as truth and candidness. We like to keep it real. And most of the time, you will see when we ladies gather together, our different and very interesting personalities, which is one of the things that we love so much on the show. Now, on today's episode, we really want to, as we do, keep it real, but want to talk about some of the challenges a lot of people are having and families are going through post-pandemic. This help I'm having I'm going through a career and financial crisis is really a conversation that we've been having. And I know a lot of friends are having this conversation, people are having issues, but it's not always easy to bring these things to the forefront. As we all know, we are now post-pandemic, and with that comes some of the complications and complexities that we're now seeing around us. We're seeing a major upheaval in the financial industry. We see a war in Europe. I mean, we see, debt skyrocketing. We're seeing inflation rise up, the cost of living. I mean, things are crazy expensive. And when you start to touch these sort of areas, there's no way it doesn't impact relationships. There's no way it doesn't impact people's lives. So today we really want to talk about, and help that person, that woman, that man who is at a crossroad in their career and in their business. Should I scale up? Should I transition? Should I move? I feel stuck. We want to really talk about some of the strategies that people can use in this season to transition from where they are. So I know here we have women who are career women, women who are business women, women who are juggling both worlds, women who are doing all sorts of things. And I just wanted to first of all ask, just from your perspective, let me ask the question, how are you doing? So when you start off, what is your reality right now? What's going on in your field? And then what do we say to somebody right now who feels stuck in their career? And stuck can be, I don't see an opportunity for growth. We've all gone remote. Jobs, people have been let go. My job has been merged with somebody else with no increase in pay. I really don't see what the next level is. I don't feel fulfilled anymore. I feel, going through COVID, I've had a moment to really reassess what I want to do with my life. And it's not this. But if I just walk away in this crazy economy globally, it's all over the world, what's going to happen? What's the concern? So these are some of the things I think people are grappling with. Let me Yemisi, especially being a life coach, being our guest, I'll let you kick us off and tell us, what your experience is and what you're really seeing in the conversations you're having with people on this issue.
Thank you so much. And that is a wonderful question. I think COVID did a very good job helping us execute quicker than we expected what our priorities are. And for some of us, we realized that the career that we're in, the jobs that we're working, it's not fulfilling anymore. I was part of that. I still love my job, but I felt like I could do more. And I won't say ironically, but I jumped into life coaching a bit earlier than the pandemic. So I think I got into it in January and the pandemic hit in March. And it's something that I really, truly love doing. But for some people who are struggling, I think there's a couple of questions that you can ask yourself to figure out if it's your actual career or if it's something going on with you. I am a big supporter of writing things down. So just trying to figure out what are the things that I love about my job and what are the things I hate about my job. That's the first step, because then you can identify areas that you want to build off of and increase in a different career and careers you want to stay away from. I encourage you writing it down. There's something about writing your vision down and just keeping things on paper. The second thing I would ask myself is, what do you truly enjoy doing? What is it that you're passionate about? And how can I figure out a way to make money from that? I think the traditional jobs of being a doctor, a lawyer, while they're still needed and essential, we've learned not only through COVID, but through the years, through the virtual years, how things have been increasing, that many of our careers we can do virtually. And we don't have to leave our 9 to 5. For some cases, you may have to leave your 9 to 5 because it's not doing you any good. But I think testing it out first before you make that big jump, figuring out what exactly do I love doing? What am I passionate about? And how can I build up my skills so I can make this an income generating revenue or income generating position, excuse me.
Thank you so much. I think you really honed in on a lot of points there, and very practical. I love that part about, that writing things down and really reflecting. I was in a meeting, well, an Instagram live, when people were talking about, just the power of journaling. And I like the angle they were bringing out from all of that, Lola, what would you say about, the person who is saying, I'm still stuck. What else do you think? The MC just really laid out what needs to happen. But what goes on sometimes in the mind of people that, they still struggle to align with some of these steps, or they get the answers and they're still not sure. Is it really that they are stuck? Could there be other things going on? Are people really evaluating to the depth they need to? Or is there a challenge to have this sort of critical conversation? So everything MC said, it makes sense in their head, but implementing it in their world, either speaking to a spouse or, they just say, I just don't know. You know how people can be. What do you feel? What's been your experience when, you felt stuck, for example, in your own career, and what were the steps that you took in addition to what Emisi said?
Yeah, I think it starts with the mindset. You have to first of all work on yourself, what you believe about what you're able to do, what you can or cannot do. I think many of us grew up, when we grew up, it was one career path. That was it. You kind of choose it early in life, and then you kind of stick with it throughout, whether you like it or not. And many of us land where we are because of, external advising versus internal reflection. And so we get into this position and we're there, whether for financial reasons or for whatever reasons, to impress, a family, or to, impress parents, or whatever the case may be. And so we have to first start, I feel like, with the mindset. And like Missy said, what is it that you want that will bring you joy, bring you fulfillment? First of all, figure that out first, and not limit your mindset or thinking on, can I do it or not do it? I think that's where many of us get stuck, because we talk ourselves out of things. And, I deal a lot with young adults now. I'm in my current position, I have the privilege of doing a lot of hiring, and I supervise a lot of people. And so over this period of the pandemic, I've done quite a lot of hiring and mentoring in that space. And it's, these young adults come in their 20s and 30s. I'm like, you guys have it so good, better than how we had it, because the world is like, you can do whatever. Like, you're not bound by anything. And I see it happen. I see people who are like successful in multiple areas and pursuing their passions in multiple areas. And, they're not limited by choice. And so I say, start there. Start with your mindset. Don't talk yourself out of things. Don't think about how I'm going to do it. Just figure out first of all what you want to do.
Right. Right.
And write that down, like Yemisi said. I advise the folks that I work with to have an individual development plan for themselves, whether or not your business, where you are, ask you, because there are some places where they tell you to do it. It's part of your employee, whatever. But you have a plan for yourself, and where do you want to be in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and what will it take to get there? And then pray about it and let God expand the possibilities, avenues for you to do it. I think that's the starting point. Because if you're a professional procrastinator like I am, you need to have something to be held accountable to, so that people can help you.
Right. No, and I think, funny enough.
Yeah,
yes,
let me jump in.
I didn't want you to. The next question is to you.
Yeah, I didn't want you to ask me a question. That's why I jumped in, because I had so much to say. Because as some of the ladies will know, it's been incredible. Okay, so I'm in the healthcare sector, and a lot of the things that you're saying is different from us in the healthcare sector. So prior to the pandemic, we've endured a lot of shortages in different areas of healthcare, from physicians, nurses, your technologists, your nursing assistant, your lab people, everybody, right? So the pandemic came and then just changed a lot of things. So a lot of the things that are being discussed may not necessarily apply to the people that went into healthcare with the passion of serving and providing care to people, right? So since we have experts on the show, I wanted to jump in so that you could offer some guidance, because actually I think I should be in the audience and not on the panel this morning, because this topic is applicable to me. I got into healthcare because that's my passion. I love it, right? And the COVID-19 struck, and everybody knows, we're at the front and center of it all. I worked through the pandemic. I don't work, well, I have some opportunities to work remotely, but that's like 5%, right? Because of the pandemic, it created more shortages. I'm right now at the forefront, on the floor, providing care, because I don't have people. So I have to jump into it, right? If you're in it, you can't just stand back and see people not being cared for. This has created, and it's not just for me, it's created a lot of issues. People have left the field. People have walked out. People that would otherwise want to care for their patients, would want to, serve. They went into healthcare because you can't go into healthcare if you don't love people and you don't like to care for people. So you will just leave, pandemic or not. So this has actually created a shift like never before. And people really don't know what to do. We don't always have the privilege of working remotely or finding other things to do within the field, because we deal with lives, we deal with people. So people walked away. They're tired. There's no other alternative unless they're going into a different field totally. And while that might be okay for people, we also have to look at the bigger picture, right? Because we all getting older. We all life is happening. So put yourself in the shoes of somebody that is in the hospital right now and needs a nurse, needs a physician, but that person is burnt out. That person has reached their max. That person is not there. So when you think about things like that, you as a person that is in that field will keep on accommodating till there's a tendency to really break. I say all this because there are many people in my shoes right now that are like, okay, do I stop working? Like Zilola Yebisi said earlier, do I stop working? What is the impact of me stopping working? And then some people like me, I don't know if I could stay at home and not work. That's my passion. So how do you navigate that if you're in that type of a field where, everything I've explained is applicable? What do you
Yes.
do?
Well, that's why I said it's so funny. One of the things I love about when we're having these conversations, when Lola was speaking, I was just thinking, of healthcare. I was thinking of Jumoke because the second question was where I was going to say, and I was going to say this question is for Jumoke. And so what you've done is to amplify that question because it was going to be, is this a good time for people to be changing employment? Or maybe starting new business. Because when you say, oh, you haven't, what else can you do? There's a financial crisis. People say, maybe pick something up. And I'm going to talk about that later on. So given this economic climate, that was my next question. And I was going to target it to, especially for people in healthcare, because it's such a unique area. I maybe because I've had a background in healthcare, but I wasn't, clinical or hands-on. It's a ministry for people. You can say, I don't want this job, I'll go for another job. There is even a guilt, like Jumoke said, she's senior enough to be overseen, but having to jump on ground because there's a need and people are walking away and some people cannot afford to walk away. What do you do? So this is a very critical one and I'm really open to hear what people's thoughts are as we look into the area of healthcare. The healthcare has changed for the first time. At least not that I've really noticed. About 3 weeks ago, I don't know which state it was, nurses were on strike and they were all out showing, it was all on the news and the rest of it. And some of them were speaking and they were crying. And you could tell that they really want to do their job, but the environment, they are underpaid, they are overworked. What would we say to somebody? And in our midst now, Jumoke saying, I'm the one. What do I do?
I think it depends on the individual and the profession. So right now, healthcare, public health, education, they're all in emergency response mode. It's a surge response, right? And so you in that phase where Jumoke is talking about, I think it's important to still do that introspection, even in the midst of that surge response. There's not one size that fits all. We can't say stay or go and it be a blanket response. Because if you're burnt out and you stay, the likelihood of making mistakes and going into another set of problems is higher. At the same time, you're faced with, well, we're short-staffed. And as a healthcare provider, my first inclination is to protect and serve. There's a need, I have to fill that need. But I think that you're not, as Jumoke said, you don't have the luxury of sitting back and saying, what do I want to do? What other business do I want to start or whatever? Well, you might have to ride the storm and ride the emergency response phase and get to the point where things have settled and, now I can rebalance, look at work-life balance again, think about these things. Because you're in emergency response mode, you can't do that now. But,
and I love.
Yeah, sorry, but you also have to look at yourself individual and say, I'm also burnt out. And if I stay, if I stay, the lives are at stake. And I don't want to risk life. So maybe I need to make that decision now and leave. So it depends. I say it depends on your own individual.
Can I jump in here?
Absolutely.
Okay, so the way I see things is based on what the Bible talks about seasons. You understand? And for me, I'm heavy on. I know everyone, but my faith just speaks this out in terms of what would God have me do at this given point in time? What season would He have me be in? And I understand that people do get burned out. And like Lola said, this is This is an emergency response situation with COVID and what's happening. Short staff, people have left. The pandemic brought about this. I was watching the Thai cave rescue. I don't know how many of you saw or heard about the story about 12 boys and their coach. They were stuck in a cave in Thailand, and it took skilled scuba divers and engineers and the whole world, basically flying different scuba divers and engineers and doctors all around the world to figure out a way to save these boys from the cave. They found them after 9 days. They rescued them out of the cave after 18 days because, mind you, there were 9 chambers in the cave and all of them were flooded. And how to get the boys out safely were in the lives of engineers, doctors, and trained scuba divers. I say all that to say this. It God revealed to me that in this Gen Z era where a lot of people just want to pick up and go, they want to create YouTube videos and just want to become popular and rich and everybody live my truth and all that stuff. Those are not the skills we would need when things like this happen. Okay, is a nurse in this pandemic. These are the people we need. So I want people to understand when you're trying to figure out, okay, let me find an easy way out. What purpose did God bring you here to serve? I think it's time for you to spend time to reflect, sit down. Like Jamesy said, journal things down. If God is who you serve, figure out why he brought you here. Because I guarantee you, no matter what God places you in, there is the grace for that. It's when you're working outside of his grace, that's where you do not find the will to go on. So when you are stressed or burnt out, you know who to rely on and say, God, you placed me here. Here's where I need more grace to push through. So that is what I'll tell anyone that feels stuck or whatever. Figure out, are you living your purpose? Are you sitting right in the pocket of where God will have you be right this moment? If not, you need some time for reflection. If it's, and Lola said, ride the wave out of if you believe God is telling you to sit there and God will help you through. But basically, you need to go back to the source. And that's the only thing I can say there.
I just wanted to add something very brief to that. I love the phrase of riding the storm because, as many of you have already mentioned, it is a season. And I also believe that purposes are seasons as well. There might be a season of your life where this is a purpose that God has for you. And then the next season of your life, there's another purpose. I believe that there's an opportunity for multiple purposes to exist at the same time or to shift from time to time. But I think the foundation is the same. Really figuring out if this is what I'm passionate about doing, but I'm burnt out, what type of boundaries can I establish so I don't get to that place of being burnt out? Because when you're burnt out, you can't be your best self. And when you're not your best self, you can't do what you need to do and what brings you fulfillment. One of the things that came to my mind when I was listening to you ladies speak is the whole mentality of quiet quitting. And that's something that just came about. And I honestly think it's because people were being burnt out. They were tired of going above and beyond and putting in extra hours and doing all of this extra stuff and then being exhausted and drained and tired to do the things that they love to do or to spend time with their families. I think boundaries are key. And I know that during the pandemic, I had to create some boundaries, even with the things I love doing. I love talking, but I'm not going to be talking after 10 o'clock. I'm not, because I need to sleep. So whatever conversations we need to have, let's have them before 10 o'clock. I think this is the similar approach that you can take with what you truly love to do. You love serving. How can I continue doing that, but establish boundaries so I'm not being overly exhausted in what I'm doing? Does that mean not taking an extra shift? I know you need me, but I need me too, and my family needs me. So I can't work that extra shift. Ask somebody else who can do that. Or I think we need to have a conversation about the systematic issue. This is bigger than me. We need more people. So, what type of promotions can we do? I mean, speaking to leadership, what type of initiatives can we create to get more nurses or staff or whatever into our, system? Because we can only do this, like Sister Lala said, for so long. We're in response to crisis mode. And if we don't deal with it, we're going to have an internal crisis as well, which a lot of hospitals did. Like Pastor Nika mentioned, people were walking out. That there was a systematic issue there that wasn't resolved. I just wanted to add that to the conversation.
I love the direction we've taken this. I love the, picking out purpose. I love, just really understanding that. I really like that angle that Tosin brought, that, there is still a space that when certain things happen in this life, it was during the pandemic that people could really appreciate people that still went out to make sure they could move things out of the streets. There were people that could not work remotely. And I think a certain part of us started to really appreciate certain careers, certain professions. I remember back then, they would tell us once it's 8 o'clock, in the UK, everybody will come out and they say clap for the NHS. And you just be in your house, you just say, oh, I said no, it's time to clap for the, it sounded funny, but we'd all go out and be all over the street, just because we really realized there are people who are not comfortable. And I love, Jumoke using that as an example, because you really took us to, a particular space that, the options have to be even much more thought about from a very deep space. And I think everybody has nailed it completely. So I want to then transition. Everybody has talked about this gig economy. And for a lot of people in healthcare, I mean, some of the people that made the greatest killings, I wish, were people in the healthcare field during COVID. But they were just any and anybody who just set up a COVID place and all of a sudden raked in millions. I wish they put, some form of condition so that the people who really have been in this is their opportunity for them to offer a service and make money out of it. So when we talk about, maybe, the gig economy, we moved into a place where people start saying, look, I may be under a career pressure, but also financially, things have changed. Things are expensive right now. I cannot afford not to work by itself, apart from the passion, but just very realistic. We all have bills and we're all at different seasons of our lives. If a person has worked 9 to 5 all their lives and they're like, I want to be a part of this gig economy, I want to maybe do something on the side, I want to have a business, what's the first thing you should speak to somebody? Do you just jump up and go? They say people just start quitting their jobs, but I think a lot of people were quitting their jobs to get some form of benefits of some sort, but then they wanted to probably stay home and use that benefit to start a job. So people started trading on crypto, people started doing Amazon deliveries on the side, people were opening Amazon stores, people were really being creative and saying, you know what, let me get some government money of some sort, let me get some money from something I've done and let me go into business. How sustainable are some of these things if people are just, I think the word Ola used is very interesting. My concern is sometimes, are people just reactive? What should people be thinking of if they want to have a side gig or they want to do something on the side so that they have options? Because we don't know when the next pandemic or when the next, crazy hurricane will come through that could disrupt a lot of things that people do. And I'm happy with, Tosin kicking us off on that in terms of just, what are some things that people should consider if they're thinking of either leaving their career for business or their career plus business? Oh, I think you might be on, are you on mute? I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I said that I'm not one to tell people just quit, and go and live your best life and all of that. With every business comes great capital, okay? You would need collateral, you would need capital, and it's from your 9 to 5 that you would have to devise a game plan, okay? You need to, if you want to go into part-time business, full-time business, whatever it may be, it's from your 9 to 5 gig that you have to start pocketing money towards such ideas. Start writing things down. Start tabling it down, what the business is. Come up with a business plan. Go online, figure out how to come up with a business plan. Register the business, but still hold on to your 9 to 5 because you would need money. You don't want a situation whereby you just go and start a business. Trust me when I say, what is the statistics on businesses and their failure rate? And you want to be back in the 9 to 5 saying that the business didn't work out. So You need to be wise. You seriously need to be wise. Count your cost, and pay your price and reap the reward. You have to count the cost, sitting down, writing everything, tabling it before you now decide. And you have to see how well that business is doing part time to see, okay, can you now transition from leaving your 9 to 5? But you have to be careful. For us, when we started many years ago, um, you know, but what we left as our safety net, what God allowed us to leave as our safety net is we created a lot of bases. We created a lot of bases in government contracts. We created a lot of bases in real estate. We created a lot of bases in other things before we decided to venture out into other things such as entertainment business or trying to do event planning or all those things. So we had a lot of bases so that we could draw capital from that and be able to invest. And I'm the type of person where it's, for me, I like the waterfall idea where you start something, you see it to a certain level, then you withdraw, and then you start another business and you see, residuals. So you can't just say, okay, I like photography, I like this, I like that, and you just invest in everything and you have no clue how it works. Have you gotten experience? Have you gone for training? All these things play into that. So before you decide to just jump from your 9 to 5 into a business, you have to really take time out to really count the cost, because you don't want to be right back at square one. I'll stop right there.
Thank you. Let me see. I'm sure that this is something that when you're doing a lot of coaching, and you're a career woman, you've also, I know, started, what I'll call, I don't want to use that word, but just sometimes it's used to say maybe a soft business, but it's called soft because it's in an area of passion, right? So that it's easier. It's not something that, that you may not know what you're doing initially, that you may feel that, like to Tosin's point, I mean, I'm staying in my 9 to 5, but now I'm starting to see, and for a lot of people, those things have grown, and the rest of it. So what are some of the balancing acts that you would suggest that people should be employing for anything, actually? Because right now, almost anything can be an opportunity, right?
Mm-hmm. That's a very good question. First of all, I want people to understand that you don't have to leave your 9 to 5 to be a business owner. You do not have to completely choose one or the other. That's number one. There are very successful people in their 9 to 5 and in their business. They've been able to juggle the two. They've established schedules and plans and to do lists to make sure they're able to be successful in both. That's the first point I'd like to put out. The second thing, I think, Sister Tosin mentioned a lot of great things. And, you're very wise. There are not a lot of people that have that type of information. And the way you've gotten that is from your background and through experience. And most people don't have time for that. They want to do it now. So, what I would recommend is you speaking to a mentor or someone who's done it. I have no problem. Before I went into coaching, before I started making candle, I had someone that I spoke to because I want to learn from your mistakes and not make them myself. So I connected with a mentor. There are people on this call that I've reached out to, and I said, "This is what I'm thinking. I need advice. I need help." And after I get that, I digest. This is for me. And then I put the steps that are needed, the baby steps, little milestone and obstacles over time will give you great success. I remember there was a season in my life that I was thinking about switching careers. And I knew of a lady who did that. She switched careers. She went into corporate and private, and she was doing amazingly well. And I looked up to her. I asked her to meet with her for 15 minutes. And I told her, I said, this is the situation. I'm thinking of making a shift. I love what I do, but I want to do something else. I don't want to be in this field of work forever. And after pouring out to her, she told me, she said, you know what, Yemi C, I'm so glad you came to talk to me. Let me tell you what people don't tell you about this glamorous life that I'm living. And she literally went down and spoke to me about everything. She wasn't guiding me in one way or another. She was just giving me the information, and I had to take that information and make it applicable to my life and where my family is and where my 5-year goals are. And after doing that, I realized it looks great, but it's not for me. There was a time in my life that I was thinking about going into dentistry, and I love teeth. I love smiling, and I love looking at people's teeth. So I reached out to my dentist and I said, you know what? I'm thinking about this, but before I start studying and investing all of this time, I want to be able to experience or see what I'm going to be doing on a day-to-day basis. I shadowed her for one day and I realized this life is not for me. Bending over in somebody's mouth and doing all that, it looks good, but the issues that come with that is I'm not built for that. So I would highly recommend speaking to someone, getting a mentor, getting a coach to help you identify who should be your mentor, who should be in your personal boardroom, but also doing what Sister Tosa mentioned, it is not for everybody. There's certain people who, while they think they want to be a business owner, they can't sustain it because they're not disciplined enough to wake up on time and work late and sleep less. There's so many factors that go into starting your own business. So I would recommend speaking to someone who's already been there and done that. I would recommend writing down, what is your whole purpose of starting this business? And how does this fall into your long-term goal? What does God say about this? Is this something that God is even telling you to do? Or is this something you want to do on your own? I'm going to stop there because I know other people have things to say, but that's my contribution. We can't hear you.
Thank you so much. I said I like that. I think you guys have touched on certain elements. So it's like you've picked three of my next questions and you said a little bit about it. So first of all, I'm going to ask Jumoke and Lola something a little bit about that. So you want to transition. So I'm changing and I'm thinking, okay, let me change. We want to transition. So let's first of all start with this. Great points you both raised. Jumoke, I know, has supervisory authority in her role. Same with Lola. When a person comes to meet you and they say they want to have these sort of conversations, uh, I think I need a raise, or I'd like to do something much more, in this area of the organization, or maybe it's even you or I or any one of us. We've suddenly realized that, you know what, I'm very good. I've been doing this part of my career for the last 6 years. I've honed in on it. I know everything else. I want to do it could be a horizontal shift, right? I want to go from everything I've been doing right now in operations, and I want to go to sales, or I want to go to strategy, or I want to go to policy development, I want to go to corporate, within the hospitals organization, as opposed to, being much more with clinical. A lot of people, when you look at it, so we've talked about doing certain things on starting a side business, what you should consider. I still have one or two questions. What about internally? People talk about being an intrapreneur, sometimes seeing opportunities that are there. Maybe I want to go into the training part of the business. I want to really go and start doing training. For that person who feels stuck in their career, what should you know? A lot of people are always afraid. They might say they've looked at that. This is all I know how to do. How do you have these conversations? How do you sell yourself again? When you've been so comfortable doing your job well, how do you repackage yourself? And how do you have that conversation about a potential raise? And like I was saying, because I'm preparing myself for a particular conversation. Sometimes if you can't have a raise, how do you negotiate an extra day off work? Or how do you expect that, okay, I'd like to just do remote, because if you can't give me an increase, I can make savings if I can work remotely. So for somebody who feels stuck, what are some things that, where they are right now, they can't afford to really leave? They like what they're doing and they think this is the season, but something is still not right. Maybe they need to pivot where they are. What are some things that you would say, just from your professional experience, that has happened to you? And now that you guys are in that position where people are coming to meet you, and management is going to be like telling you, you just had a meeting, say you need to cut down, and somebody's come to tell you, I need an increase. How do you really deal with that? Anita, Jumoke, Lola can start off with that.
Okay, I like actually the ending of what Yemisi said, and I'll take it from there. Like when we say business, I think the society at large, and thanks to social media, they make it seem like if you're not into a business, you're not doing anything. You have to, but you have to take a step back and ask, like Tosi also said, what is God asking you to do? You don't want to jump into anything because everybody else is doing it, or you think that's the only way to be successful or make more money. And then I think also you could look at business as a large umbrella. Some things that you may be inclined to do or you're gravitating towards may not, quote unquote, look like a business. So you have to be comfortable with knowing what you really, really want to do. And if it's something that God is calling you to do, there will be fulfillment It may not be in terms of monetary rewards, or you live in that lifestyle you think you should live, but you will get a sense of fulfillment from it. So I back to your question regarding this. It could be a lateral move, or within an organization you're thinking about things you excel in. I at my workplace, I study people a lot, and I have people that I know what their strengths are. I know what they should be doing, um, or focusing more. That will be of benefit for the organization anyway. But a lot of these organizations are so structured that they don't even accommodate those things. So, as somebody in my position, I would love to see somebody just focus more on a certain area that I think is a benefit to patients, right? And there's no position for it. And being what it is today in the healthcare sector, I think this is like the worst. They don't want to hear that. They have they have their needs. They want you to meet that need, and focusing on helping people grow may not necessarily be what they want right now, because they cannot afford to do that. So I have somebody in that position right now. She wants to do certain things different from what she's been hired to do, and she actually told me she's looking to leave. And in as much as I don't want her to leave, I know she wants to grow in that area. It's still within her field. She's a social worker, but she wants to do something different. And she can't do it where she is right now. And she actually spoke with me. I was receptive to it. She put me down as a reference. I got the call on Thursday, and I gave her a good one. I want her to do well. So if it's not within the organization for her to excel in what she wants to do, I'm more than happy to send her to where she wants to go. I don't want to lose her because I don't have a replacement for her. But I have to put my own needs aside and do what it is that she needs me to do to help her get there. So I think people also have to look at it in a different light. And it doesn't always have to be within your organization, because somebody else will benefit from her expertise somewhere else. So that's been my experience.
Thank you. I like that. Very, very
Yeah.
insightful.
I agree with everything that's been said. I have a couple of two examples of two different ways that has played itself out. So my niece is a pharmacist, and she was in a toxic work environment where she was just, you can see that she was just being battered. It was very, I mean, when she told me us a couple of the things that was being said or what was happening, we had no choice but to advise her, you have to leave. You have to leave. And we had to then, my sister worked with her to build her self-esteem back, to tell her, you're smart, you're strong, you know what you're doing, you can do all this stuff, just apply. Don't ask for small money, ask for big money. Like, she was like, I can't ask for that, I don't have those skills. And we're like, ask for it, you can do it, you can, and pump her up. And she left that environment reluctantly. She didn't think she could survive. God helped her to survive. God carried her financially during that gap, but she needed to leave that environment and trust God. Because a lot of times we trust in ourselves and we don't believe that God can carry us through some storms. But sometimes you have to leave that place in order to move into your next opening and trust that God will have you. And so that's what happened with her. She was able to leave, and she got the job she has now. I mean, double her salary from before, less stress, 9 to 5, and all that. One of the things that like I said, I'm privileged to hire people and mentor them. And from the day one, the first day, the orientation, I said, let's talk about where you want to be in 2 years, whether that's with me or that's not with me. Like, where do you want to go? And I think that takes people by surprise, because they're like, okay, you're already helping me to formulate my exit plan. Yes, I am. Because I feel like it helps them to know that I'm invested in their welfare and where they want to go. And then they, in turn, I feel like I get the best from them in the work workspace. So if
I
you're
like,
in that type of environment where they're able to cultivate, you look around, talk to you, start
yeah.
with your supervisor. Let your
Mm,
supervisor know this is where I want to do. I want to be the next level up. What do I need to do to get there? Who do I need to
mm,
speak to? There are people that may be able to help you. Talk to coworkers. Say, I like what you're doing. I'm not trying to get your job, but I like, I would like to do those things. What skill sets do I need to do? And there are a lot of free courses out there where while you're working your job, you can develop those skills if you can't get them through your job. So
mm,
just explore, do an environmental scan. Again, starting with where your Missy started, writing things down, putting a plan in place
yeah.
so that you know what you want, and then going from there.
Fantastic. Wow. Wow. I mean, this has been so enriching. And thank you so much. I know, thank you for everyone. I can see so many people in the audience just listening in. I believe, you're receiving and tapping, because I know people always chat and give a lot of contributions, but I really sense that a lot of people are really thinking through. And I think we really need to. I think COVID post pandemic, we're at that stage where we need to take a whole lot more ownership about where we're going. Every morning we wake up, we are creating something and we want to maximize what we can do. So we've talked about, yes, whatever you can do on the side, a side gig, have that. What does that look like? You have this business dream, use wisdom, have a strategy, like Tosin was saying. But I really want us to end with this last question, which is one of the key reasons. And I'll say it lightly, not because, all of this boils down to, finances. It's important to have a passion for certain things, but even the gifts and the talents that God gives to us is so that we can trade with it, so that we're empowered financially to do things. It's not about the finances, it's about what it enables us to do in life. And so most times that definitely drives what we do. But where people are in financial crisis, where people are like, I want to take something from here, exactly, Tosin, they are saying exactly, I know the business, I've done the business plan, I've done everything else, but I just can't find how to take from here to sow into there. I'm not leaving, but it's taking so long, And so, should I ask for an increase? Do I go and do more certifications to get a better job? Then I'll get more money to put it, it can be a vicious cycle. So, what would you say that, are the important, I would say, steps a person who might be having challenges financially, and a financial crisis does not necessarily mean that you're about to be thrown out or anything else like that of where you are. It just could be that you're not able to execute the things that you want to do. You feel that you're sort of stuck in this position doing what you need to do because you need to be able to take care of the things that you have. What are some important steps that needs to be taken immediately, in what you do immediately? And then we'll also talk about how you then actualize your dreams, your passions, and where you want to go. And I'll leave it open. Maybe we can start with Yemisi, and then we'll have Tosi and Lola and Jumoke weigh in before we round up.
I think one of the greatest thing you can do is invest in yourself. And that means developing yourself by taking courses, but also hiring professional help. If you need to reach out to a life coach or a career strategist because you've been stuck for so long, that's absolutely okay. I think a lot of times we tend to try to figure everything out ourselves. No one knows everything. No one knows everything. There are people around you that you can tap into to help you navigate that season. You mentioned financial crisis, and I just wanted to give a practical idea or suggestion. Everyone's financial situation is completely different, and we don't have time to go through the different circumstances that our people are in. But again, going back to writing things down and taking a overview of what your finances are and why they're there. When you find out the why, you can establish strategies on how to either reverse that situation or improve on it. One of the things that I love to do every year, at the beginning of the year, we all have goals and things that we want to do. Something I do twice a year, regardless of what's happening, is I take a financial fast. There's certain months that I don't spend any money outside of the necessary things. And why do I do that? Not because my account is in negative, but because I want to be able to discipline myself to know that for this month, I'm focusing on not spending money, increasing my savings account, but also learning other techniques to apply to other areas of my life. I'm going into my fast this month, October. What? Oh my God, I'm already here. October is my financial fast month. So I won't be spending any money. For me, it helps me to be creative in what I'm doing. It helps me to find free courses to take. It helps me to, just navigate new ideas on things that is different from my default, which is just spending money or doing this or doing that. I think it's key to get professional help. I think it's key to discipline yourself. And I think it's key to put in strategies or boundaries that are going to be beneficial for you in the long run. I'm not encouraging everybody to do a financial fast. That works for me. But whatever works for you, think about it, write it down, and start implementing it as soon as you can. And you'll see the changes happen in your life over time.
Thank you. Interesting.
Interesting. It's so nice you said that. The first thing when Nikki asked the question that came to me is, it's time to scale back. It's time to scale down, because you can't keep complaining that you have financial crisis and then the next Gucci bag you're on that, or things like that. So it's time for you to go back to the drawing board, write down all your expenses, find where the tap is running and clog the hole. Do you understand? Where are the drips? Are you, just like Yamsi rightly said, are you taking, too many, spar breaks? Are you, doing, what are you doing? Look at that. Find out, where your money should be. You will find out that there's so many, how many Starbucks do you have in a week? Things like that. You will find where you can scale back and draw from that, and put into savings, and try to bill yourself out. How many credit cards are you putting out of debt, or how have high debt ratio, or whatever it's called? What are the things that you can begin to look at to get yourself out step by step? Many years ago we took the Dave Ramsey course, and you just got to work your way back out of that hole, dig your way, climb it out bit by bit, small by small, but you'll get there. So that's what I just wanted to add.
I like that. So a quick follow-up question that I know somebody threw in. She said, so how do you save money or budget when you are in the middle of a financial crisis? And I know, what she was saying was that sometimes when things are now bad, and you're like, you are at the point where you need that credit card each month to meet. So without that credit, so you pay a little bit and then you have it. So when you are in that situation now, what are some things that you can now do as well? I think everything you said is what they should do, but maybe just hone in where a person feels like, that's how things are. It's really brutally hard. And yet they're like, you still need to save. What are some tips that we can say here?
I think for some people, it's just a matter of, it depends. Like we've said, each financial crisis is, is different from the other. So if it's a matter of, some people, all they have to do is just go work. They're in a financial crisis, but they don't want to work. I mean, like, where is the money going to come from? Nobody's going to hand you money, and if they hand you money, it's probably a loan and you got to pay it back. So some people, it's just a matter of go to work and stop calling out. Some people that, they're kind of low, they're down, they're depressed, and they don't want to do anything. Finding the root cause is necessary, right? Why do you feel like that? Yes. Okay, now that you feel like that, you're in a financial crisis. What are you going to do? Some people, I think the solution is people, you have to increase your income. Yes. If you're in a financial bind, you have to increase your income. So, I mean, I'm not going to push the Christianese agenda and pray on all that. You have to do. What are you doing? If it's that you're going to get another job to get out of this crisis, so be it. It's not going to be easy, but you have to do what you got to do. So I'll leave it that, I'll leave it that.
And Jumoke took the words right out of my mouth. Those were the two things I was going to say. You have to increase your income, even if it's for a short time, if it requires. I mean, I have friends that go and do Amazon at night, do Uber delivery or whatever, just so they can clear out 2 credit cards that they used up during the thing. And also the second point Jumoke made about a lot of our spending is sometimes tied to emotional emotional state. And so you might have to take a couple of steps back and say, okay, I'm eating out a lot because of this. Let me figure that out and fix that so that I
Yeah.
don't use money to plug that hole.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
those are the 2 points I was gonna. I'm
Thank you so
sorry.
I,
much.
I wanted
Okay.
I wanted to quickly say that the pandemic introduced the stay work from home, and I know a lot of people that have two jobs currently because they stay at home. So that's another opportunity that you can open yourself up to if you're, in that realm.
Yeah. And I actually, when we're talking about the question about, we now have this gig economy and people doing something on the side, I know it was very business focused, but yes, that's exactly what, in terms of, things that, one can do. And Jumoke is right. I think what she was trying to say is don't Christianize it, but take a Christian approach to it. Christianize is just God will do it, and not doing anything. The Christian approach is God wants me to be fruitful and He wants me to work. So I have made up my mind to go. I need additional income. Then I pray that, Lord, let me find the sort of job that will enable me do this, that will enable me get there. Sometimes when your circumstance is very unique and you have little children at home with you, the prayer then is you are actively looking for something you can do remotely. So there must be something so that when you then do the prayers and, believing and faith, it's done after you have made the right decisions and done the due diligence, and then help comes to help you do that.
Mhm.
Amazing. I'll let MC just have the final word as we've, just to round us off on, what has been for me a very enlightening, very enriching conversation. Love so many perspectives that, everyone had to share here.
Well, thank you so much for this opportunity. I think everything that we mentioned today, all of these nuggets can be applicable to anyone's life. So I would encourage folks to watch this again. But one thing that really jumped out to me is, what do you have in your hands? What can you do? There's so many opportunities for us. I think Sister Lala mentioned Uber or an online position. Look into it. Be open. Don't let your ego prevent you from getting to where you need to be financially. Also, recognizing that every situation is a season and it's going to change. So while you might not be able to see outside of it right now because you're within it, just know that your future is brighter tomorrow. You just have to put some steps in place. You just have to get help, and you have to be disciplined and focus on what you have to do. I'm really excited that I had this opportunity to contribute to this. I hope people really not only listen, but apply this to their personal situation. Get a notebook out like I do and write down things that work, that connect, and go back to your notebook and review it when you have time and say, how can I implement this in my life? I need more money. I need to cut back. I need to grow. So thank you for this opportunity. It's an honor to be here, and I look forward to watching the next episode.
Excellent. Thank you, ladies. As usual, it's been great. Thank you for our amazing audience and for everyone who has joined us today. We will be back for the last episode of this season. I can't believe it. 12 seasons, 12 episodes gone already. And the final one is going to be a Wahoo one, which is going to be keeping it very real. We're going to have a special guest with us, and it's the final one that says, help, I'm not sexually compatible with my spouse. Oh my goodness, what has gone wrong? We know that is not something we should joke with. So let's really talk about it. We're going to try not to blush. We're going to keep it very real. We need to talk about issues. So stay here, make it a date, and be here for our final episode. And of course, MC said something. This whole season has been the help series. We've talked about help needed in life, help needed with children, help needed with, relationship problems and everything else like that. Why don't you do us a favor? Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't just leave. And then follow us on all our social media platforms. We love to hear from you. Watch a lot of our previous episodes, and we look forward to connecting with you again. And until we're all back together again, I just want to say thank you to our lovely guests. Thank you to my girlfriends, as usual, for a great, insightful conversation, and say bye, everybody.